So your free oil changes just ran out on your brand new Accord down at the dealership, and you're curious, maybe I should just change it myself instead of taking it somewhere. Came to the right place. I'll show you how to do it. This is my wife's 2023 Honda Accord. We're gonna change the oil out in it today, and I'm just, maybe you guys are sitting at the house wondering, you know what, my free oil changes have run out at the dealership. I'm kind of curious about doing it myself instead of paying somebody, worrying about them damaging the car. I'll show you how easy it is, and you can do this at your house, in your driveway, with a lift, without a lift, with some ramps, a jack stand, stuff like that. But I'll show you the process, get this oil changed out, and get you back on the road. So first thing, just come in here, get the hood popped. If you look right down here where your feet go, you'll see the trunk button right along the side. There's a little lever. You just pull that, that'll pop the hood. Okay, to get the hood up right here in the center, right above the Honda badge, there's gonna be a lever right over the edge. You just slide it to the right and lift the hood. There's that lever right there. You just push it to the side, that releases the hood. Pull up your prop rod, put it into the hood to hold that up nice and safe. I've got this car running right now. It's because I like the oil to be a little bit warm because I feel like it flows a lot easier when you're draining it. Now, you gotta be careful doing that. You don't wanna burn yourself with the oil. It gets very hot and you can definitely do some damage to your skin. So if you wanna do it cold and be on the safe side, it's a good way to do it too. Just take a little longer for it to drain out. So I'll let this run for a few minutes and get warmed up. Then I'm gonna shut it off and I'll show you the next step. Next thing you wanna do is come over to where you fill the oil. It's right here on top of the engine. You'll see it says 020, that's the weight of the oil you're gonna be using. I just like to take this off before you get started draining it, put it in a safe place. The reason I wanna take this off because it allows air to get down into the crankcase so that oil can flow out real nice. If you don't take it off, it can blip, 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 blip on its way out. And if you're laying on your back in your driveway with the oil pan right by your face, that can be a big mess. So you're gonna end up taking this off anyway when you go to fill the oil. Obviously, don't forget to put it back on when you're done. But if you get it out of the way now, it's definitely gonna let that oil flow out a lot safer and a lot smoother. Up to daisy. Now that we're in the air, when you go underneath, you're gonna see this big giant silver pan right here. This is what needs to come off. This is where your oil filter and your oil pan drain plug's gonna be. And there's gonna be 4 bolts that are Phillips head. You got one here, and you also got one there and one there. Those will come out, and these are usually really, really tight, so I like to use a number 3 instead of a number 2 Phillips. It's a little bit bigger. That way you don't strip this, because the last guy who did it, if you haven't done it, they may have really cranked them in there. Then you got 4 more screws, one here, same on the other side. And those are a flathead, and they're just a quarter turn. So you'll just turn it a quarter turn and it'll pop right out. Okay, so like I said, these are just quarter turns. So you just basically turn it a quarter, it'll drop down, pull it out. Same thing there. This is kind of what it looks like, just so you have a good idea. All right, so just put those in a safe place so you don't lose them. Okay, so we got all 4 of those out. We'll go ahead and take the Phillips head screws out. You got 2 there, 2 in the front. Careful, don't fall on your head. Just kind of put your hand on it for the last screw. And then just drop it down. It's got a little clip here, so you'll slide it back a little bit and then just slide it right out. Now your pan's out of the way, you're gonna come up here. This is your oil pan, and you can tell it actually says engine oil right there, and it's got an arrow. Makes it pretty dummy proof. So that's the plug you're gonna wanna take out for that, and your oil filter is right here next to it. So that's kinda nice. It'll drain out real nice into your pan, no problems there. So what I like to do is go ahead and drain the oil first, then do the filter. That's gonna be a 17mm socket. I like to use a long extension, and it's got a little wobble to it so I can stay way back far away, because when that oil comes out, remember, if this was running, that oil is going to be extremely hot and will burn you. So might be safer just to do it when it's cold. Also, keep your drain pan aft a little bit, not right in the center, because when this comes out and if it shoots out, it's going to go past your pan and you're going to make a mess. Ask me how I know that. So get this crack loose and get it draining. Let's let this drain a little bit. and then we'll go to the oil filter. Okay, what I usually do when it slows way down like this, I'll go ahead and just run that drain plug in by hand just to stop it, so that that's one less thing draining while I go ahead and get this filter off. You may not need a tool. You might be able to just wrap a rag on there and use your hand, but I got this kind of like a little socket. This is made by Performance Tool. It actually says it's for a Toyota, but it fits this Honda just fine. Just to break it loose, so I'll show you like this, so I'm kind of in view. And then I just come up and just kind of crack it loose. And then you can take it off by hand. And again, like I said, this oil will burn you. So you can kind of just, once you get it loose enough, you can let it drain like this for a little bit and just let that kind of drain out before you take it all the way off. Because sometimes when you're taking that off and the oil's spilling everywhere and it gets on your hand, it gets slippery and you drop it, makes a mess. Especially if you're on your back and you have a pan full of oil and it drops in there and it goes ba-blunk. Ask me how I know. Okay, I'm gonna call that good enough. Just wind this baby off. Get a rag, get a better grip. Woo, she's long-winded. All right, and then you'll get some more oil spillage. Now I just turn this right upside down and put it right down in my pan. And now that this is draining nice, I'll go ahead and pull this back a little bit and get it over both ports and let this drain and let everything drain until it's just basically at a drip. Make sure it's empty. Okay, so while that's draining, it's a good time to go ahead and get set up for the install of everything. Your drain plug, right, has this aluminum crush washer on it, and that's what seals it to the oil pan. Okay, so this one looks like you could probably reuse it, but it's best to get new ones. You can go down to your dealer, your local parts house, whatever. I bought these on Amazon. It's a whole bunch. Might be maybe too many for most, but I got some for future oil changes, pretty cheap. I got a genuine Honda oil filter. You're going to want to make sure that you fill this up with oil through the center hole, and then just take your finger and run oil around this seal right here. Also, make sure that the seal from the old filter isn't stuck to the engine already, because you're going to have a real problem if that does happen. So make sure there's nothing up there, and you're going to want to wipe that before you put the oil filter on anyways, but get that oil on there. That'll help that go on smooth and seal up. I'm using 020 full synthetic SuperTech oil. Some people have their doubts about SuperTech oil. I have a lot of vehicles. I've never had an issue. I really like the oil. It's actually really good oil. Do your research online and pick the oil that you want. You know, just make sure it's 020, because that's what it calls for on the weight, and synthetic is probably what you want to run in this. So anyway, so I'll go ahead and get this filled up, get my oil on there, get a fresh gasket on here, and that way this is all prepped and ready to go. And by that time, you should be done draining over there, and then you start installing some stuff back on the car, and we get it filled up and get it out of the garage. So if you're learning something from this video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you don't mind. It's free, and it really does help out the channel. Okay, so up where your oil filter is, right in here, this is where the seal is. You want to make sure there's no old seal on there. And if there is, get that peeled off, wipe this nice and clean, and we'll get the oil filter on. Okay, so we got everything wiped and cleaned up where the filter goes. Our filter's filled with oil, and we wiped oil around the seal, so we're ready to install this. So I'll go ahead and get it slapped up there. Now I just screw it on and tighten it by hand, as tight as I can get it by hand. Use your discretion on how tight you want to go. You really don't want to crank these down, because then it will leak. So normally I just tighten it up by hand. Hand tight should be all you need. I've never had one leak, knock on wood. So I just put a rag around it and just crank it down, tight as I can get it. And that right there will be a good leak-proof install. Get the old drain plug installed with the new sealing washer. I'm just gonna snug it up good and tight, German torque. But use your discretion there, because there is a torque for this. You can look it up on Google or call your dealer, and they'll get you squared away. I'm gonna go ahead and lower the vehicle, and I know what you're gonna say, you didn't put that cover back on. Well, the reason I didn't put that on yet is because I like to go ahead and fill it all up, run the car, then get back under and verify I don't have no leaks. After I verify I don't have no leaks, then I'll put that back on. So let's get this on the ground and get it filled up. If you don't know how much oil yours takes, this, I mean, I'm not sure if you have the hybrid or not. This is not the hybrid. This is the 1.5 turbo. This calls for 3.7 quarts with the filter. But if you don't know what engine you have, right here, there's a sticker on the bottom of the hood that tells you this one's a 1.5 liter. Look in your manual. That'll give you your capacities. Go under specifications in your manual. That'll lead you into capacities, and you can see how much engine oil with or without a filter. This one's 3.7 quarts with filter, so that's what we're gonna dump in it. I only dumped in 3.5 quarts for now. I'm gonna install my cap, because it's hard to tell 3.7 quarts on a 5-quart jug. So I put in about 3.5 quarts. I'm gonna install the cap, fire this thing up, let it run for a few minutes. That way I could check for leaks, and it'll fill up the oil filter and get oil through the motor. Then you shut it off and let it settle for a few minutes, and then start doing your final top off. Make sure when you're doing your final top off that you have the car on level ground. If you have it on jack stands or ramps or anything like that, get it on level ground for your final check. But this is a good way. You get it close, fire it up, check for your leaks. Leaks are good. Go ahead, put your pan back on, get it on level ground, do your final checks. You definitely don't want to overfill your oil. Going a little bit over full is really bad for your engine. It's better to be a little under full and in that middle range than over full for sure. So now that I got this on, I'm gonna fire it up, look for leaks, put my pan on, shut it off, let it cool down, start doing the final oil check. So we're back underneath. I let it run for a few minutes, and now it's cooling down. I got no leaks, oil filter's nice and dry, plug's nice and dry, so we'll go ahead and get this pan back on. So how you're gonna do that, you're just gonna slide it up over this ledge right here in the front. Just get that slid just like so. And like I said, there's a few clips here in this plastic that are gonna go in these squares. So you wanna make sure those get on there like that, slide it into place. It should stay up all by itself. We'll get these fasteners in and it'll be ready to go. Quarter turns, you definitely don't wanna crank on them too tight. You just wanna slide them in to their respective homes and just literally give it a quarter turn. You'll feel it stop, and that's it. The pan's on, final check with the screwdriver. Good to go, we're leak free, the pan's all installed. We'll lower this down, do the final oil level check and top it off if we need to. And then we're gonna reset that maintenance oil service engine light that's been staring you in the face for the last 2 months. Change your oil. Okay, so now we'll go ahead and check the level. Dipstick's right here in the front. Wipe it off, because you did run it. Dip her back in, let it sit for a sec, pull her back out, check it. We're in the middle, but we're a little bit on the lower end, so I'm gonna go ahead and add just a little bit of oil to this thing and get her topped off perfectly. Then we'll move to the inside and I'll show you how to reset that light. Okay, now to reset your maintenance due now light, this is the 2023 Accord. Again, it might be different than some of the others. You're gonna wanna use this button right here, and you're gonna wanna scroll down. See, it brings up range and fuel. You just keep scrolling down, scrolling down, scrolling down. Go all the way down until you see settings. Then you're gonna push this button. Push it in, and you'll see TPMS calibration. We don't want that, so just keep scrolling down. Use this little wheel to rotate. Maintenance reset, that's what you want. So you're gonna click the button again. It's gonna bring up what you're resetting, maintenance reset 812. So all due items, and then you select that and just push in on your button again. That's it. Boom, reset completed. Go back. You can go back to maintenance if you want. Oil life, 100%. That's what you want to see. And that's all there is to it, guys. So hopefully you learned something in this video. If you were looking to change the oil on this and maybe gave you some confidence on doing it on your own at your house, or if you feel like it's too big of a job for you, you just want to take it somewhere and not bother with it, maybe it'll enlighten you on that too. Either way, I appreciate you watching. Please like, subscribe, share. It really does help the channel grow a whole lot. And we'll see you in the next video.